Today, I want to talk about efficiency of movement. And I've made some comments about efficiency of movement in the past, and hopefully I can clarify what I mean. I found a research paper that talks about these things and hopefully can clear up my side of what I'm talking about. So if you refer back to some of my old videos and go, what the heck is this guy talking about? Now you can kind of know. I think what's great about this is it talks about how many different ways of using the word efficiency can be, so it gets kind of confusing. It talks about in context, however, there is a great variation in definition and quantification of efficiency. Kavanaugh and Cram, another study that they looked at, collected and described the common biomechanical and physiological quantifications of efficiency and economy, and noted that the variety of definitions is rivaled only by the vast range of values for the various measures. So there's lots of definitions, and I want to talk about what I mean when I talk about efficiency. In this case, efficiency of movement. And that quote comes from the research paper that I'm going to link to on this video, Biomechanics of Elite Performers, Economy and Efficiency of Movement. It's by Jeffrey T. Burns, Kenneth M. Kozlov, and Ronald F. Zernicki. And there's a lot of good stuff in here. I might make multiple videos on the subject because there's so much interesting stuff when it comes to the examples that they talk about. Today, I want to talk about the Fosbury flop, which is a high jump technique. If you've ever seen someone jump over a bar, you might have not even seen some of the other techniques. You're probably only thinking of the Fosbury flop, where they go over, their back goes over the bar. And so we're going to talk about that and how that can apply for when I'm talking about weightlifting, or not necessarily weightlifting, strength training in the gym, and why the efficiency side of things is something that we want to look at so that we can maybe get more results if your goal is like mine, which is to build muscle and to build strength. So starting off, let's talk about what does efficiency mean. Again, how I was talking about efficiency is how they're describing it in here. And it says, Simon, so this is from a study in 1976, ascribed the following definition. To be efficient simply means to take the shortest path, the cheapest means toward the attainment of the desired goals. In the broadest sense, it is a ratio of outputs to inputs, benefits to costs. So in regard to being efficient, you want to take the shortest path, the cheapest means to get to the desired goal. So when it comes to the example that we're going to talk about with the Fosbury flop, you want to try to you're going to put out the maximum effort that you can when you're jumping as high as you can. But if I can find a way that I don't change the amount of input that I do, I just manipulate it differently. I have the same amount of force, I use the same amount of muscles, but I can get a better result, I can get a better high jump. That's being more efficient. Using the same amount, or maybe even using less, like it says, using the cheapest means to get the maximum output, get the maximum outcome. So let's talk a little bit about the Fosbury flop. I'll give you a little background on it because it talks about it in this study. It's really interesting. But until the 1960s, jumpers used a different variety of techniques. They give you some examples: Eastern cutoff, the Western roll, and most commonly the straddle technique. I don't know what any of those are because all I know is the Fosbury flop now. You can actually watch videos of them running straight at the bar and jumping over with their stomach. It's pretty funny if you think about how elegant it looks today, but that's because they learned this technique from Dick Fosbury. So in 1963, a high school student, Dick Fosbury, developed a completely new style of high jump. He eventually brought it to the world's attention by winning an Olympic gold medal in 1968. His technique, referred to as the Fosbury flop, facilitated a greater bar clearance via a curved approach on the run and a backward somersault. So instead of running straight at the bar, he came at it at an angle and he jumped over it with his back facing instead of his stomach facing. This motion lowered the effective center of mass of the jumper as he traveled over the bar, allowing him to clear greater bar heights for a given center of mass excursion. The Fosbury flop is thus 5 to 7 centimeters more efficient in its center of mass movement than the previously eminent straddle technique, the one that was most popular, and allows some jumpers to even clear bar heights above that of the body's center of mass during the center of mass apex during the jump. So it's this great technique that allows you to put the same amount of input, the same amount of maximum jump but you get 5 to 7 centimeters higher because of the technique. So this way of manipulating your movement allowed you to get a better outcome, the better goal. In this case, jumping over a bar in what we like to call the high jump. So when I take that context, when I take that in consideration for movement in the gym, and I want to, again, my goal in the gym is to build muscle and build strength. I care about my efficiency of movement only up into a certain point. The efficiency that I want is to make sure that I am not hurting myself and then I'm using the target muscle groups. I need the form and the technique to be good enough to where I access, let's just say if I'm going to do a pressing movement, I'm using my chest, my shoulders, and my triceps. I'm not using my head, my neck, my abs. I'm not doing some sort of different movement pattern because I have a goal of working certain muscles. The press is just a way to access certain muscles. My goal, the output, the lifting of the weight, for me, I don't care if I lift 5 pounds or 500. That's irrelevant. I care about accessing those muscles that we talked about. In this case, with the press, it would be the chest, the shoulders, and the triceps. That's what I care about. In regard to efficiency of movement, if my goal was to lift more weight, 500, 1,000 pounds, I'd want to think about Dick Fosbury. How can I manipulate myself? Do I arch my back more? Do I bounce it off my chest? Do I do some sort of movement pattern that allows me to put in less effort and get more results? That's efficiency in regard to movement. When I'm in the gym, I don't care so much about that. I don't really care about it at all. Like I said, the only amount that I need is just enough to do the exercise safely and proficiently so that I get the target muscles. I actually get rid of the outcome. Like I said, I don't care if it's 5 pounds or 500. The outcome of moving the weight from my chest up into a lockout position, I don't care. All I want is to stress the muscles. This is why an isometric works. You don't even have to move. You just push against a weight that's too heavy for you. And if you fatigue those muscles, the response, the output, the outcome that I want is the fatigued muscles at the end of the set so that I can get the most response to that stimulus of fatigue. So that's why I'm in the gym. If I want to build strength, if I want to build muscle, I want to maximize the input of effort. That's my input. I don't want to minimize the input and maximize the outcome, the output, for efficiency's sake, because the goal of moving the weight is not the goal. The goal that I'm trying to accomplish is fatiguing the muscles. Now, if we're going to talk about efficiency, neuromuscular efficiency, grabbing more muscle fibers, if I want my nervous system to use more muscle fibers, that's going to happen whether I do some weird technique with my bench press or I do an isometric. I don't have to move at all. I can move slowly. I can move quickly. I can do whatever I want, but it's going to happen if I come back consistently, as long as I'm getting enough recovery from the stimulus of training, enough nutrition, enough rest, and enough time off in between, and I come back to the gym, my output is going to go up. I'm going to lift more weight. I'm going to get stronger. I'm going to be more efficient at, again, we're going to use this term differently now, efficient at using my nervous system to grab more muscle fibers. All that is going to happen whether I have some different technique or not, as long as I stay consistent with what I'm doing and I get the adequate stimulus and get the adequate response with the adequate recovery. So for me, the reason why I don't put any emphasis on efficiency of movement, as a matter of fact, I almost want to be inefficient, like a isometric, like going really slow, is because instead of using gravity to drop the weight and then push it back up, because I'm not doing any work as I come down, I want to put as much effort in as possible so that, again, I can get the most stimulation so that I can get that response. That's why I'm in the gym. So if we're talking about this efficiency of movement, again, if your goal is to lift as much weight, if your goal is to jump as high, you're going to want to find the most efficient way of moving your body so that you can get the highest jump, the most weight. That's your goal, right? So you're going to find these efficient ways of moving. Like I said, is it arching your back more? Is it bouncing the weight off your chest? Is it doing some sort of technique where you break the bar with your hands? There's all these techniques that you can learn to help give yourself more in the powerlifting context, squat, bench, dead. hey, I can be more efficient. I can lift more weight. I can win more contests. Just like Dick Fosbury, hey, that jumping technique is stupid. I think I have a better way. I can get way higher, all right? Not that he's any stronger than anyone, not that he's any different. He changed his technique that gave him better outcome. That's not what I want to do. As a matter of fact, if I change my technique to get more output, but I didn't use as much muscle, I was more efficient as the definitions terms, I took the cheapest means, that means I'm not putting out as much effort. That's what I mean by efficiency. I want to put as much effort as possible. Most intensity, as we call it, high intensity training. It should be called high effort training. HET, not HIT. So that you put the most effort into it so that you get the most stimulus to get the most response. That's why I go really slow with my exercises. And when I say slow, let's define that again. 3 to 5 to maybe even 10 seconds on the negative with a pause at the bottom, and 3 to 5 to 10 seconds, depending on the exercise, on the concentric, on the positive, and a pause at the top. No bounce, no swinging, all muscle. The muscle has to move that weight the whole time because, again, it's not about the movement. I can do an isometric and just push up against an immovable object. As long as I'm stimulating, and I do that with many clients, as long as I'm stimulating the muscles with the most effort and I'm getting that fatigue, for me, that's my goal. I don't care. In isometric, there is no movement. There is no goal other than stimulating the muscle. So when I'm in the gym, that's my focus. I don't want to get lost in trying to do movements. That I save for technique when I'm kicking the bag, okay? That's when I want to become efficient because I want to be able to flick my hip and put the least amount of effort and knock somebody out. That's what I want. I want technique to be where I get more output with least effort. And then also, if I do that, I can throw more jabs, more kicks, more that, because I'm not using as much energy. I'm more efficient. So the movement side of things, if you have that goal of movement, of performance, then yes, you're definitely going to want to be efficient. That's not my goal while I'm in the gym. The efficiency, I only need to be good enough to be able to make sure that I do things safely and I access the right muscles. After that, it's about putting out as much effort as possible so that the muscles can get the most stimulus, and then they get the response of muscle building, muscle strength. So that's what I mean when I'm talking about this efficiency side of things. I hope that cleared up my confusion, or my side when I talk about it. So if you refer back to some of my other videos and go, what the heck is that guy talking about? Now you know. And there's more good stuff in this. Again, I'm going to link to it. You can read it for yourself, but I might make more videos on this because there's lots of good information on here that come into this efficiency play. So that's all we got for today. The Fosbury Flop Efficiency 101. We might come back to class next time or another time to research more on this and to dive more into this. So that's it for today. See you next time.